What's up, NBA fan? What's up, all sports fans? This your boy JB, host of the Behind the Bench podcast network and channel. Just want to give a shout out to the rest of the crew. I'm talking about Shy, Kelvin, and Jermaine. And for everyone who's tuning in, I hope that you support Behind the Bench, become a subscriber, and help make this show the best that it can be. Now let's talk about it. NBA, in particular, the Minnesota Timberwolves, better known as the T-Wolves. And this is a franchise that came into existence during the late 80s, 1989. And they had been struggling in the beginning. And then in 1994, they drafted Kevin Garnett, the big ticket. And then years later, Stephon Marbury. And many people, felt that Garnett and Marbury was going to have a tremendous amount of success as a duo for the Minnesota franchise. But unfortunately, that didn't work out. Stephon Marbury went elsewhere, and Kevin Garnett held down the fort. And he had a Hall of Fame career. And he helped lead that franchise to their first ever conference finals in 2004. Matter of fact, that's the year Kevin Garnett won league MVP, and they lost to the Los Angeles Lakers in the conference finals in 6 games. But that year, they had a real nice team up there, led by Kevin Garnett, and Latrell Sprewell was on those teams, and they were very, very good, and they became a popular team, for the future. And then after that, they peaked out. And then later on, Garnett would, leave to go to the Boston Celtics, where he won a championship, his only championship in 2008, along with Paul Pierce and Ray Allen, Rajon Rondo, and the like. So for a long time, Minnesota has been trying to find their way. And then starting in 2014, 2015, they drafted Karl Anthony Towns from the University of Kentucky. And they had been struggling for years. And then they did reach their first playoff since the Kevin Garnett years in 2018, when Jimmy Butler was on the team. But now it seems like it's all starting to fall together piece by piece, because after 8 games of the new season, they're 6-2. They're 6-2, and I know it's just starting out, but this is what I'm talking about. When you persevere and stay the course, especially in a small market, it may look bleak because you can only go by what the precedent has been the reputation that has followed a franchise. But you never know what happens. You never know what happens if you stay the course. So Minnesota Timberwolves are now one of the better teams in the Western Conference starting out, and they are a young team, a great combination of youth, veteranship, and experience, all wrapped into one, and a lot of excitement, led by a solid young coach in Chris Finch. So now people may forget that this team has been to the playoffs the last 2 years. 2022, when they really should have won this series versus the Memphis Grizzlies. They blew 3 games where they was up by 20 points going to the fourth quarter. And I believe what happened to them was the inability to guard John Morant going down the stretch. And that hurt them. And then Karl Anthony Towns, I believe he was shooting too many 3-point shots instead of posting up in the paint and playing big. But last year, they made the playoffs again after acquiring Rudy Gobert in a controversial trade due to the fact they gave up a lot of draft picks to acquire him. But nonetheless, they fought Denver hard, and even in the closeout game, Denver had to really battle to win that series in the end. In terms of going down the wire, where I believe Jamal Murray played big in that fourth quarter to seal that deal. But nonetheless, Minnesota Timberwolves, man, they rolling, starting out the gate. And as we can see here, I believe the key to it is the emergence of Anthony Edwards. You know, he's playing like a franchise player, playing like a superstar right now. And he's leading the team in scoring, averaging 27.9 points a game, 5.3 assists, 6.3 rebounds, averaging 1.3 steals a game. And he's playing big right now. And now Karl Anthony Towns, instead of playing like the number one guy, he has accepted his role on the team for the better of the team. And he's the number two guy, coming in with 19 points, getting you by 8.8 rebounds and 2.3 assists. And he can still shoot his threes. But now the team is, being led and spearheaded by Anthony Edwards. And then Rudy Gobert. And this is a former 3-time Defensive Player of the Year that's stepping up for their team, playing his role, 12.5 points a game, giving you 13.1 rebounds. And then Jaden McDaniels, who is, I believe he's in his third year, and he's emerging, that steady presence at the two guard. And then you got Mike Conley. And I'm actually surprised Mike Conley's playing so well for them after being traded from Utah. But I think what happened to him in Utah, I think he was suffering too many injuries because of their style of play, playing too fast a pace, shooting too many threes, instead of playing a more half-court set type offense, which it appears that's what they're doing up in Minnesota. And then they got good bench play from Naz Reid, who re-signed with them going into this season. Kyle Anderson. What kills me about Kyle Anderson is he plays so slow, but he can get his shot off against anybody. Man, it just, I don't understand, but nonetheless, man, he know what he's doing out there. And then Nickeil Alexander-Walker. So they're getting great contribution. The team is on the roll starting out 6-2. And this is why I say, for all these teams in the West is going for win now, their window, I believe their window is shut. But for the sake of conversation, if they don't get it done this year, they're not going to get it done because there's too many young teams now, and their youth is starting to get that experience. Minnesota's been in the playoffs the past 2 years. They've been to the first round the past 2 years. And you figure with Edwards getting better and the team building their chemistry that they can advance this year and go to the next round. Now, they have to prove it, but they starting off much better than they have in the past 2 years where they have went to the playoffs. But I like what they're doing. They're very athletic, and Minnesota can give the Phoenix Suns problems. They can give the Lakers problems. Los Angeles Lakers problems. They can give the Los Angeles Clippers problems. Those are three teams that's going to win now. And then along with the Minnesota Timberwolves, you got Sacramento Kings. OKC Thunder is on the rise. Houston Rockets is 5-3 right now. They're surprising everyone. New Orleans Pelicans, when healthy, I believe they can compete with anybody in the NBA. Their issue is health. They got two players who average 25, 26 a game. So Sacramento Kings, Dallas Mavericks with Luka Doncic. I see him as a top. He could be a top 5 player, to tell you the truth. And I think he's one of the top 3 leaders in the MVP race so far. Along with Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid, whose teams are off to fantastic starts. Then you got the Denver Nuggets, the defending champions. And it's not going to get any easier, So, but at the end of the day, the Minnesota Timberwolves, is good to see them starting out this way. I root for these teams. I really do, because I'm just really I'm really worn out by this whole super team era and stars, teaming up, joining forces, forcing trades and forcing organizations to stack the deck and mortgage their future off. Nah, man, that's not the way to go. That's not a winning attitude. That's not a winning attitude. These teams that's slowly building, taking those growing pains to become great. I really appreciate that. And that's what makes me a fan of basketball and the NBA as a whole. But I just want to drop that nugget. Minnesota Timberwolves, the T-Wolves, hey, they putting the Western Conference on notice. They here, and I see big things coming for them this season. So until next time, this is JB for BTB Behind the Bench.